Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Vishnubhad Puramansa Pariprajaka Ashtotar Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kunagiri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mahi Ki Jai, Jamana Mahi Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Jai Maharaj. Welcome everyone to Caitanya Charitamrita class with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. Today is Thursday, May 18th, and tonight we are starting with Adi Leela, 5th chapter, the glories of Nityananda Ram. Are we still on that chapter? I didn't change.
Yes, 205.
205, yes. As always, we're eager to hear everyone's comments and questions, so please use the raise hand feature or simply unmute yourself and speak when Maharaj asks for questions, or you can type your comments into the chat window. Just remember to not send any chat messages as Maharaj is reading them there. It just makes it more difficult to read. And at the end of class, I'll post some helpful links that you can share with your friends so that they can attend as well. And if anyone wants to lead the closing kirtan, please send me a chat. Maharaj, we're so glad you could join us here in the United States. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Chapter 5, Text 205. Jagai matai hoite mui she papishta, Purusher kita hoite mui se lagishta. I am more sinful than Jagai and Madhai, and even lower than the worms in the stool. More nam shune je tar punya koi, more nam loy je tar papa hoy. Anyone who hears my name loses the results of his pious activities. Anyone who utters my name becomes sinful. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mayam Tadhati Shapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Horipriye Vancha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhobhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The author here is speaking with extreme humility, and it's so pronounced that one might think that this is some sort of literary figure or literary convention. But Srila Prabhupada said that they actually felt this way. Sanatana Goswami, when he expressed his being fallen. Yeah, let me, there is some background noise. Let me just close the story here. When Sanatana Goswami expresses that he's fallen, or when Kaviraj Goswami expresses his low condition, these great souls actually felt that way. We, in our own experience, we say something like, "Oh, I'm so fallen," but it's sort of well, we know we're expected to say that we're fallen, so we say it. But we can hardly conceive of how deeply these great devotees felt these humble thoughts. Srila Prabhupada often quoted this verse, Jagamade hoite mui se papishta, Purusher kitta hoite mui se lagishta. Any comments? Emon nirgrina more keba kripa kore ekanitananda binu jagat vitore. Who in this world but Nityananda could show his mercy to such an abominable person as me? Preme mata Nityananda kripa avatar uttama adhama kichu na kore bichar. Because he's intoxicated by ecstatic love and is an incarnation of mercy, he does not distinguish between the good and the bad. Ye age paraye tare koreye nishtar ateeva nistarila mohena durachar. He delivers all those who fall down before him. Therefore, he has delivered such a sinful and fallen person as me. Mo papishte anilane Shri Vrindavan Mo hena adhame tila Shri Rupa choron. Although I am sinful and I am the most fallen, he has conferred upon me the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami. Sri Madan Gopal Sri Govinda Dorashan Kohibar Yogya Nahe He Shab Katan. I'm not fit to speak all these confidential words about my visiting Lord Madan Gopal and Lord Govinda. Vrindavana Purandar Sri Madan Gopal Rasha Bilashi Shakshat Rajendra Kumar. Lord Madan Gopal, the chief deity of Vrindavan, is the enjoyer of the rasa dance and is directly the son of the king of Braja. Sri Radha Lalita Shange Rasa Vilas Manmata Rupe Yahar Prakash. He enjoys the rasa dance with Srimati Radharani, Sri Lalita, and others. He manifests himself as the Cupid of Cupids. Tasam avirapuch chori smayamana mukambujaha pitambara tara shagvi sakshan manmataha. Wearing yellow garments and decorated with a flower garland, Lord Krishna, appearing among the gopis with his smiling lotus face, looked directly like the charmer of the heart of Cupid. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:32-2. Yes, Tulasi-Priya.
Maharaj, I was just thinking when you were talking about how he feels so fallen, and that's actually how he feels. And I was wondering, well, since presumably he's sinless, what are these sins? And what is this fallenness that he feels? And the only thing I could come up with is how Mahaprabhu said that he has no love for Krishna. And if he did love Krishna, he wouldn't be able to live for a moment without him. And that's my guess, that the essence of his quote, sin or fallenness, that somehow he's in separation and yet he's maintaining his body. And, because what other sins could there be? And I'm not saying that's an actual sin, but that's the only one that he would have, that he would consider himself to have, right?
Well, I can't say. From our point of view, he's completely faultless. But a devotee finds his own faults. We find that Madhavendra Puri was thinking, I wanted to taste that sweet rice. And the deity hadn't even tasted it yet. So he considered himself an offender. We would have thought, yeah, sure, it's pragmatic. He's just trying to render better service. But he thought that I'm offensive. I'm thinking about enjoying. So we can't say exactly what it is that a devotee is feeling to be his own sins or his own shortcomings. That's for their own consideration.
I suppose it's such a level of purity that they're able to, as I say, drill down to that very, very fine, apprehension of what where they feel that they're lacking in their surrender or their devotion.
Yeah, the Sanatana Goswami speaks of abject humility. We sometimes get humble, but they operate from a different platform.
Thank you.
That Sanatana Goswami was going through so much trouble to walk on the beachfront and on the hot sand to avoid polluting the pujaris of the Jagannath temple. Who can understand their minds? So madhurje loker man kore akarshan dvi pashe radha lolita korein shrevan. With Radha and Lalita serving him on his two sides, he attracts the hearts of all by his own sweetness. Nityananda doya more tar tare te kaila Sri Radha Madan Mohane Prabhu Kori Dilo. The mercy of Lord Nityananda showed me Sri Madan Mohan and gave me Sri Madan Mohan as my Lord and Master. Moadhame Dilo Sri Govinda Dorashan Kahibar Kata Nahe Akatya Koton. He granted to one as low as me the sight of Lord Govinda. Words cannot describe this, nor is it fit to be disclosed. Vrindavane Joga Pite Kolpatarubane Ratna Mandap Tahe Ratna Sinhasane Sri Govinda Pashiya Chain Rajendra Nandan Madhurya Prakashi Koren Jagat Mohan. On an altar made of gems in the principal temple of Vrindavan, amidst a forest of desire trees, Lord Govinda, son of the king of Braja, sits upon a throne of gems and manifests his full glory and sweetness, thus enchanting the entire world. Bhama Parshve Sri Radhika Shloki Gon Shonge Rashadi Kalila Prabhu Kore Kotaronge. By his left side is Srimati Radharani and her personal friends. With them, Lord Govinda enjoys the Rasalila and many other pastimes. Yardhyan Nijalokai Kore Padmason Ashtadasha Kara Mantre Kore Upashan. Lord Brahma, sitting on his lotus seat in his own abode, always meditates on him and worships him with the mantra consisting of 18 syllables. Purport. In his own planet, Lord Brahma, with the inhabitants of that planet, worships the form of Lord Govinda, Krishna, by the mantra of 18 syllables, Kling Krishnaya Gomindaya Gopijana Balabhaya Swaha. Those who are initiated by a bona fide spiritual master and who chant the Gayatri mantra 3 times a day know this Ashtadashakshara, 18-syllable mantra. The inhabitants of Brahmaloka and the planets below Brahmaloka worship Lord Govinda by meditating with this mantra. There's no difference between meditating and chanting, but in the present age, meditation is not possible on this planet. Therefore, loud chanting of a mantra like the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, with soft chanting of the Ashtadashakshara, the mantra of 18 syllables, is recommended. The "18-syllable mantra for worshipping Govinda is mentioned here. And Prabhupada gives primary importance to the chanting of the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Gayatri mantra is to be chanted softly with meditative concentration. And in this age, that kind of meditative concentration is difficult. And therefore, the Mahamantra in Harinam Kirtan is given greater importance. But the Gayatri mantra is there, and it's been explained by the Vaishnavacharyas with quite elaborately. Lord Brahma lives in the highest planetary system known as Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. In every planet, there's a predominating deity. As the predominating deity in Satyaloka is Lord Brahma, so in the heavenly planets, Indra is the predominating deity, and on the sun god, the sun god, Vivashan, is the predominating deity. Inhabitants and predominating deities of every planet are all recommended to worship Govinda, either by meditation or by chanting. Chodhabhubane jar shabe kore dhyan, Vaikuntari pure jar lila gungan. Everyone in the 14 worlds meditates upon him, and all the denizens of Vaikuntha sing of his qualities and pastimes. Jar madhuri te kore lakshmi akarshan, Rupa Goshai Koriyachen She Rup Varnan. The goddess of fortune is attracted by his sweetness, which Srila Rupa Goswami has described in this way. Purport. Srila Rupa Goswami in his Laghu Bhagavatamrita has quoted from the Padma Purana, where it is stated that Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, after seeing the attractive features of Lord Krishna, was attracted to him. And to get the favor of Lord Krishna, she engaged herself in meditation. When asked by Krishna why she engaged in meditation with austerity, Lakshmi Devi answered, "I want to be one of your associates, like the gopis in Vrindavan." Hearing this, Lord Sri Krishna replied that it was quite impossible. Lakshmi Devi then said that she wanted to remain just like a golden line on the chest of the Lord. The Lord granted the request, and since then, Lakshmi has always been situated on the chest of Lord Krishna as a golden line. The austerity and meditation of Lakshmi Devi are also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:16-36, where the Nagapatnis, the wives of the serpent Kaliya, in the course of their prayers to Krishna, said that the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, also wanted his association as a gopi and desired the dust of his lotus feet. This line on the chest of the Lord is known as Srivats. Srila Prabhupada explains that in Vaikuntha, all the residents look like Lord Narayan, but the distinction is there. There are some signs by which Lord Krishna can be distinguished, or Lord Narayan can be distinguished, and one is the Srivatsa, or this line in which Lakshmi Devi is present on the chest of the Lord. Lakshmi wanted to enter into the pastimes of Lord Krishna, and specifically the rasa dance, but she couldn't do it because she's Lakshmi. Lakshmi has her own natural position of what's the word? Grandeur, I suppose. And it's the mentality of the gopis is simply foreign to her. She couldn't give up her Lakshmi-ness and become a gopi. Smeram Pangi Traya Parichitam Shachi Vistir Nadrishtim Vangshinyastadara Kishalayam Ujvalam Chandrakena Govindakyam Haritanum Ita Keshi Tirto Pakante Ma Prekshishtas Tavayari Sakhe Bandushange Sti Rangaha. My dear friend, if you are indeed attached to your worldly friends, do not look at the smiling face of Lord Govinda as he stands on the bank of the Jamuna at Keshi-Ghat. Casting sidelong glances, he places his flute to his lips, which seem like newly blossomed twigs. His transcendental body, bending in 3 places, appears very bright in the moonlight. Report. This is a verse quoted from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in connection with practical devotional service. Generally, people in their conditioned life engage in the pleasure of society, friendship, and love. This so-called love is lust, not love. The people are satisfied with such a false understanding of love. Vidyapati, a great and learned poet of Mithila, has said that the pleasure derived from friendship, society, and family life in the material world is like a drop of water, but our hearts desire pleasure like an ocean. Thus, the heart is compared to a desert of material existence that requires the water of an ocean of pleasure to satisfy its dryness. If there's a drop of water in the desert, one may indeed say that it's water, but such a minute quantity of water has no value. Similarly, in this material world, no one is satisfied in the dealings of society, friendship, and love. Therefore, if one wants to derive real pleasure within his heart, he must seek the lotus feet of Govinda. In this verse, Rupa Goswami indicates that if one wants to be satisfied in the pleasure of society, friendship, and love, he need not seek shelter at the lotus feet of Govinda. For if one takes shelter under his lotus feet, he will forget that minute quantity of so-called pleasure. One who's not satisfied with that so-called pleasure may seek the lotus feet of Govinda, who stands on the shore of the Jamuna at Tirtha or Keshi Ghat in Vrindavan, and attracts all the gopis to his transcendental loving service. Srila Prabhupada was fond of this verse, which expresses things negatively. I heard him once explain it. He said, my dear friend, don't go down to the Keshi Ghat. And well, why shouldn't I go? Because there's this boy who's known as Govinda, and he's standing so beautifully in the moonlight that when you see him, you'll forget all about your society, friendship, and love. So don't go. The meaning Prabhupada points out is actually the opposite. Srila Rupa Goswami is encouraging us that we should see the beautiful face of Govinda, or the deity of the Lord, and forget about our attraction to so-called society, friendship, and love, where there's just a drop of water when we need an ocean. Any comments or questions so far? Smeram Bhangi Traya Pacharitam Shatrivistir Nadrishtin. Yes.
Oh, I was just thinking that's some kind of poetic device that I don't remember the name of. I could try and look it up, but it also seems like a kind of a rhetorical trick, like when people say, don't think of an elephant. Of course, the first thing you think of is an elephant. So saying, don't, if you want to, enjoy your friends and society and love and all that, don't go. Well, of course, then, the mind says, no, I want to go. So I'm just wondering if it's kind of a charming little rhetorical trick. Not that it's not sincere, but also,
yes, it's a rhetorical device. The Gaudiya Vaishnavacharyas excel in the use of these poetic devices. In Sanskrit poetry, there's there are many such devices, and the Sanskrit poetics is quite advanced. In English, there are various rhetorical devices. They mostly have Greek names because they've been around for a long time. But they're not missing in Sanskrit. At the end of Chaitanya Caritamrita, Kaviraj Goswami has some, should we say, spectacular verses, some astonishing verses where his use of rhetoric or his use of rhetorical devices, his, what shall we say, sublime and amazing. And he even explains what the devices are in the text itself, just to help us appreciate them. The Kavi Karnapur was particularly expert in Sanskrit poetics and rhetorical devices and figures, and he's explained these things. There's a book, I think, where he's talked about them. The expert on these topics is Gopinath Acharya Prabhu in Oxford, who did his doctoral thesis on poetics of Kavi Karnapur. On Gopinath Acharya's wall one time, he had just a page which listed various ways of saying things according to various, using various rhetorical devices. So you say, your face is like the moon. So that's a simile. Then you can say, your moon-like face, or the moon of your face, or is that your face, or is that the moon? Or that couldn't be your face, it must be the moon. Or the chakora birds are surrounding your, and so on. It goes on like that. There's so many different ways. It doesn't stop at your face is like the moon. There are so many ways to express that idea poetically. So yes, the Vaishnava Acharyas are expert at these things, and the devotees relish hearing the glories of Krishna presented in various poetical ways. And we find that in Srimad Bhagavatam itself and in the writings of the Goswamis.
It's obvious that you relish it, Maharaj.
What do I, how much can I relish? Just superficial. Our Dravida Prabhu was a great relisher of these Sanskrit poetical verses. Sakshat Prajendra Suta ite nahiyan jeva agye kore tare pratima hena gyan. Without a doubt, he is directly the son of the king of Braja. Only a fool considers him a statue. She aparadhetar nahika vidnishtar kora naragete pare ki boliva ar. For that offense, he cannot be liberated. Rather, he will fall into a terrible, hellish condition. What more should I say? Purport. In his Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami has stated that those who are actually very serious about devotional service do not differentiate between the form of the Lord made of clay, metal, stone, or wood, and the original form of the Lord. In the material world, a person and his photograph, picture, or statue are different. But the statue of Lord Krishna and Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are not different because the Lord is absolute. What we call stone, wood, and metal are energies of the Supreme Lord, and energies are never separate from the energetic. As we have several times explained, no one can separate the sunshine energy from the energetic sun. Therefore, material energy may appear separate from the Lord, but transcendentally, it is non-different from the Lord. The Lord can appear anywhere and everywhere because his diverse energies are distributed everywhere like sunshine. We should therefore understand whatever we see to be the energy of the Supreme Lord and should not differentiate between the Lord and his archa form made from clay, metal, wood, or paint. Even if one has not developed this consciousness, one should accept it theoretically from the instructions of the spiritual master and should worship the Archamurti, or form of the Lord in the temple, as non-different from the Lord. Padma Purana specifically mentions that anyone who thinks the form of the Lord in the temple to be made of wood, stone, or metal is certainly in a hellish condition. Impersonalists are against the worship of the Lord's form in the temple, and there's even a group of people who pass as Hindus but condemn such worship. Their so-called acceptance of the Vedas has no meaning. For all the acharyas, even the impersonalist Shankaracharya, have recommended the worship of the transcendental form of the Lord. Impersonalists like Shankaracharya recommend the worship of 5 forms known as Panchopashana, which include Lord Vishnu. Vaishnavas, however, worship the forms of Lord Vishnu in his varied manifestations, such as Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan, Sita Ram, and Rukmini Krishna. Mayavadis admit that worship of the Lord's form is required in the beginning, but they think that in the end, everything is impersonal. Therefore, since they are ultimately against worship of the Lord's form, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has described them as offenders. Srimad Bhagavatam has condemned those who think the body to be the self as Bhoma Ijjati. Bhoma means earth, and Ijjati means worshipper. There are 2 kinds of Bhoma Ijjati: those who worship the land of their birth, such as nationalists who make many sacrifices for the motherland, and those who condemn the worship of the form of the Lord. One should not worship the planet Earth or land of his birth, nor should one condemn the form of the Lord, which is manifested in metal or wood for our facility. Material things are also the energy of the Supreme Lord. The devotees, pure devotees, see the form of the deity in the temple and Sakshat Brajendra Kumar, directly the son of Braja, the king of Braja. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the Jagannath temple, and saw Lord Jagannath, he fainted, seeing, here's Krishna, here's Krishna. The pure devotees can see Krishna, can talk with Krishna, and Krishna will reciprocate with them. But even those who are not on the platform of transcendental vision at that level are still advised to worship the deity with faith and devotion on the authority of the spiritual master and the Vedic literature. And by that practice, in time they'll be able to see the Lord. They can render service to the Lord, and their transcendental vision will develop over time. Principle is that one shouldn't see the deity as merely a stone or wood or clay. One should understand, at least philosophically, that Krishna can be present there. There's no difference between Krishna and Krishna's form, Krishna and Krishna's name, Krishna and Krishna's qualities. Wherever these form, qualities, name are present, Krishna's present. Or Prabhupada makes the argument that even if we think that the deity is made of stone, stone is also the energy of Krishna. And there's no difference between the energy and the source of the energy. So from that angle of vision also, the deity is Krishna. It's just a question of our vision. Premanjanachurita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Those who have the vision of love will see Krishna everywhere. So why not in the deity? The Prabhupada alludes to a class of so-called Vedic followers who reject the form of the deity. Historically speaking, the British during the Raj were in so many ways criticizing the Hindu beliefs and, of course, pushing forward Christianity as superior. And so they would deprecate the histories, the Puranic accounts as mere mythology. They would condemn the worship of the deity as idol worship. And so they're a class of sophisticated Bengalis, really, and others thought that, or took the approach of trying to present the pure Vedic religion, a religion that would be above criticism, above the criticisms levied by these British critics in India. And so they repudiated the Puranas and the histories. They rejected the deity worship, and they simply said that we accept the Vedas, not the Puranas, not all this mumbo jumbo that popular Hinduism represents. We just accept the pure form of Vedic, of the Vedic texts. So that was their approach, but that approach is not accepted or endorsed by the Shastras. And interestingly, the deity worship has been introduced in the West, and so many people from Western backgrounds and Christian backgrounds, Jewish backgrounds, are attracted by the deity because the deity is Krishna, and Krishna is all attractive. The impersonalists also, they try to, in a different way, present their own ideas of the deity. At least they accept the deity worship. Shankaracharya wrote prayers glorifying Lord Jagannath. He regularized the offerings and scheduled worship of Venkateshwara in Tirupati. In so many ways, he accepted and endorsed the deity worship. But at the end, he says that, well, doesn't really matter which of these deities you worship, because finally, all these deities are just representations, equal representations of the same impersonal absolute truth. So in that way, he accepts but then rejects the form of the Lord. For him, the form of the deity is a kind of a device or a crutch. They give the example that just as one ascends a wall with the help of a ladder and then kicks the ladder away, so one may ascend to the Brahman platform by worshiping a deity or meditating on a deity. But finally, when one comes to the real platform of spiritual realization, the deity is no longer required. But this also is an offense to the Lord. We were reading in the third canto that the Lord, is being a person, feels offended when he's criticized or trivialized by the demons. So the Mayavadis similarly cause pain to the Lord, or they criticize the Lord, whereas the devotees appreciate the Lord, that here's Krishna, here's the personality of Godhead, and so they want to serve him and glorify him. Okay, any questions here? Ena Jai Govinda Prabhu Painu Yaha Hoite Tahar Choran Kripa Ke Pare Varnite. Therefore, who can describe the mercy of the lotus feet of him, Lord Nityananda, by whom I have attained the shelter of this Lord Govinda? Vrindavane Vaishe Jata Vaishnav Mandal Krishna Nam Parayan Paramam Mangal. All the groups of Vaishnavas who live in Vrindavan are absorbed in chanting the all-auspicious name of Krishna. Char Pran Tan Nityananda Sri Caitanya Radha Krishna Bhakti Vinay Nahi Jane Anya. Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are the life and soul of those Vaishnavas who do not know anything but devotional service to Sri Sri Radha Krishna. She Vaishnaver Pada Renu Tar Pada Chaya Adhamere Dila Prabhu Nityananda Doya. The dust and shade of the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas have been granted to this fallen soul by the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Aha sarva labhya hoy prabhur bachan she shutra etar koilo bivaran. Lord Nityananda said, in Vrindavan all things are possible. Here I have explained his brief statement in detail. She shab painu ami Vrindavane aya she shab labhya e prabhur kripaya. I have attained all this by coming to Vrindavan, and this was made possible by the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Purport: all the inhabitants of Vrindavan are Vaishnavas. They are all auspicious because somehow or other they always chant the holy name of Krishna. Even though some of them do not strictly follow the rules and regulations of devotional service, on the whole, they are devotees of Krishna and chant his name, directly or indirectly. Purposely or without purpose, Even when they pass on the street, they are fortunate enough to exchange greetings by saying the name of Radha or Krishna. This directly or indirectly, thus directly or indirectly, they are auspicious. Well, this is a long purport. Not terribly long, but I think we may not, we're going to have to stop someplace in the midst of this purport. And I think we can stop here. Any other comments or questions? Okay. So we can have a little kirtan and end up here. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Mahesh Pandit Prabhu,
Yes.
would you be able to lead Kirtan?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Paripajaka Charja Ashto Tulasi-Priya Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Jayādvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Gun Radha Kunigiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamana Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Thank you all once again. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, Shraddha. Thank you, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Please share those class links in the chat box with your friends, and we look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow for Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. Shri Caitanya Caritamrita Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. His Holiness Jayādvaita Maharaj Ki Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.